Okay, just to update everybody on the injury situation, Mike Hull is full go and should be ready for the game on Saturday, obviously, barring anything that would happen this week. Basically, as you look through our injury report, that's basically all there is. The only other one is Jackie Hafner, a guy from right here in State College. Last week had an ankle sprain and has been helping us on special teams and probably won't be able to go for the Indiana game. But everybody else seems to be ready to go.
Okay, we'll be in our questions with Rich Scarcella and Ready. Rich, go ahead.
Thanks, Jeff. So what are one or two things that defense has to do well against an offense like Indiana's?
Right. I'd tell you number one is to be able to handle their tempo, Rich. They do a fantastic job. Kevin Wilson has done a really good job from when he was at Oklahoma to now being at Indiana, trying to run 90 to 100 plays a game. So you have to be able to get lined up, communicate properly, and handle the tempo. And then they have some really good skilled players. They have two good running backs, obviously a good quarterback that's playing well, a couple good receivers, good tight ends. So they get you into situations where you're going to have to make plays in space. And so handling the tempo and being able to tackle in space and not give up a ton of X plays, explosive plays is a big part of the game plan.
Bob Flounders in Harrisburg. Bob, are you connected?
Can you hear me?
Go ahead.
Yeah, Bill, I wanted to ask you about your road curve. Last year you guys started very well on the road in all 5 games. I think you have 14, 52-6. I know it's a different year, different team, but do you stress anything differently? We could practice 4 road games. Are you trying to change anything, or can you explain why you guys are so good?
Well, I think the road is an interesting, it's an interesting issue because basically when you go on the road, all you have there are the guys on the team, the coaching staff, the trainers, the doctors, the people that travel with us, and that's a pretty neat mentality. Obviously, you'd rather be here at Beaver Stadium in front of 100,000 fans, but when you go on the road, it's kind of that. Hey, look, all we need in this room is what we have in this room. That type of mentality, and we talk about that a lot. And then, we deal with noise every day in practice, and so our guys are used to the communication process with noise and things like that. And I think you have to give the players a lot of credit. Like you said, every year is different, so we'll see what happens this year. But we feel like we have very focused players. Guys, when class is over, they come to football. They're focused on football, and we seem to practice pretty well. So I think that has a lot to do with it too.
Derek LaBarson, Wilkes-Barre.
So when you're facing a team like Indiana, trying to run plays as fast as possible, how focused do you have to be on your own tempo on offense? You balancing, giving your defense a breather, but still going after them because they're the same growth of the team.
Yeah, you have to definitely keep a gauge on that, and that's why I think with tempos, you have to have different types of tempos. If you watch us, and not that we're a great offense, don't get me wrong, but I'm talking about tempo. You can see that we have different types of tempos where we go really fast, we go medium fast, and then sometimes we huddle up. And I think that's really important. You have to gauge that during the game. How is the game going? Again, you don't want to put your defense in bad situations where they've just been out there for a while, and then you go up tempo and it's a 30-second drive, you're 3 and out, and your defense is right back out there. That's not being a very good head coach or a very good offensive coordinator.
Mark Wogenrich in Allentown.
So what kind of things do you get accomplished during the bye week, specifically regarding getting better mechanically or with whatever that you want to do?
Right, bye weeks are really important. We actually have 2 this year. We just had our first one. Bye weeks are important for many different reasons. Number one, our staff can get together and really look at the things that we've done in the first 4 weeks. Your team's identity is pretty much formed after the first 4 weeks, so you can look at different things like heavy tendencies and different areas of the field or down in distances or whatever you may have tendency-wise and try to correct those. You can look at individual players and figure out what we have to do during this bye week to try to get these guys better. You can look at your team and say, okay, you know what, we're going to scrimmage our younger guys at the end of every practice and see if we can improve the depth on our team, improve these younger players, and not only for this year, but for the future. So bye weeks are really important, and I think we had a very productive bye week. Again, you know, how productive was the bye week? The proof's in the pudding on Saturday against Indiana.
Frank Bodani in York.
Hey, Bill, in respect to the bye week again, coming after just 4 weeks, could you talk about in particular maybe how beneficial that break is for some of your younger guys who you're really relying on, specifically Hackenberg and your young cornerbacks, how important it was for them to get that time right now?
Yeah, I think you're right, Frank. I think that it was important for everybody, you know, for everybody, coaches included, to take a step back and analyze everything, and also for our guys to be able to practice without the pressure of having a game on Saturday, and then to be able at the end of the week to go home. A lot of those guys were able to go home and, you know, see their families and things like that, or if the guys stayed on campus, they were able to chill out because they didn't have any football responsibilities. So, you know, I think bye weeks are good. You know, they're good, and obviously give guys that are banged up a chance to heal up too.
Joe Giuliano, Philadelphia.
Hi, Bill. When you look at Indiana's passing game on film, what strikes you about it, and why is it so proficient?
Well, they do it fast, and they have a really good quarterback that throws the ball accurately, and then they have some really good skilled players. You know, they throw the ball to the slot receiver, the wide receiver, the backs, and so they have some what I call really good space players. You know, guys that can make plays with the ball in space, and that's a tough offense to defend. You're going to have to make sure that you swarm to the ball, that you tackle properly, that you get lined up, that you get communicated, and you're able to decipher the formation that they come out in, and make sure that you understand what they're doing, what they're lined up in, and what can they do out of that formation. So that's you know, their passing game is all predicated upon, in my opinion, having a really good quarterback, a really good play caller, and a fast tempo offense.
Mike Gross in Lancaster.
Hi, Bill. With Mike Hall ready to go, can you talk about the difference he makes, not just because he's such a good player, but because maybe you can move other people around, it makes you more versatile? Talk about his impact on the defense a little bit.
Well, he has an impact on the defense. He's a good player. He's a tough kid, Pittsburgh kid. Was a great wrestler in high school, and just brings a toughness to our football team. And you know, he got cut blocked against Syracuse legally. Not, you know, there was a good block, and you know, was injured on the play, and you know, he's had a tough time coming back from it. But it looked to me as of yesterday that he was moving around better. He feels better, but he's just a tough guy, and Penn State linebacker. That's how you describe him, and it's good to have him back in there.
Donnie Collins in Scranton.
Okay, so Indiana's quarterbacks have been pretty well protected this year, and I'm sure a big reason is how fast they get the ball out and the shorter drops and all that. But is there anything the defensive line can do to disrupt a quarterback in an offense like that, even if they're not going to get to the quarterback consistently?
Yeah, no question. You know, you talk about, and you see it more and more with our guys, you see it more and more in pro football with a lot of quick drops and, you know, guys getting their hands up. You saw it last night in the New Orleans game, and you know, I just think that's part of the rush philosophy is, look, if it's a three-step drop, the ball's coming out quick, or, you know, some type of a slip screen and the ball's coming out quick, it's useless to try to keep fighting to get there or to get a sack, because you're not going to sack the guy. You need to figure out different ways to get in the passing lanes and block the ball. And then at the end of the day, though, pass rush is about winning your one-on-one battle. So certain protection schemes involve what we call slide protections, where you have a lot of double teams across the line, or at least two double teams, and then two guys that are single. They have to win their one-on-one battles. If you win the one-on-one battle consistently, you're going to get a good pass rush.
Chris Adamski in Pittsburgh.
Hey, Bill, obviously you're a background offensive guy. You kind of come across as a student of the game. What can you, by watching Indiana's offense, you know, what about it? You know, I know you've talked about already what makes it effective, everything, but how do you kind of contrast it to other things, you know, maybe being Oregon, or the offenses you think about around the country that maybe get more notoriety, the Big 12 team? Or are there any subtle differences between them and when you see it other places, and the things that maybe are unique to Indiana's offense?
I think Indiana does a really good job of using their backs. you know, they have two good running backs that they get the ball to, and that might be a little bit of a difference from what I've seen of other teams. I don't get a chance to see a lot of other teams other than, you know, the Big Ten teams when we're watching crossover films and stuff. But I believe that Kevin does a really good job of using the running backs, and they're good, and I would use them too. You know, these guys are really good players, and so I think he does a good job of getting those guys out in space and creating, you know, space plays for them.
Hey, Brian, at this point, we'll take questions here in the media room. I ask you please raise your hand, bring a microphone to you.
Hey, Bill, is there a chance Matt Lehman could get an extra year, and how has he dealt with going through a difficult injury, obviously?
Yeah, so you know, it's tough. He was playing really well, you know, and then it was a non-contact. All he was doing was running a 10-yard outcut, and he was just breaking off his left foot and there it goes. So you know, I think you know, it's tough, but he's a great kid. And as far as the 6th year goes, you know, it's hard for me to comment on that because it's such a complicated deal. What you have to basically prove to the NCAA that you deserve a 6th year. You know, it has to do with personal background, injury background, you know, transfer, you know, because he was at Shippensburg and then he came here. And I mean, we'd be here all day, Brennan, if I was having to describe that to you. So, you know, obviously we're looking into it, and we'd love for that to work out for the guy. I think if it doesn't work out, I really believe he has a chance to play at the next level. 6'7" guy, 260-pound guy that can run. He's tough. He can catch. You know, so one way or another, I think he'll be playing football somewhere next year.
Bill, you talked a little bit earlier about getting some of these younger guys in the developmental scrimmages, and I think Mondays after practice, you guys usually run the dirty show.
Right.
What have you seen about that, and why, you know, giving them the additional reps during the bye week and that kind of thing?
Right. Well, we think it's really important. We didn't do this last year, and so, you know, this was one of our brainstorming sessions in the off season. We felt like this was something that could really help our football team for a lot of reasons, to develop depth, to see the improvement of the younger players, also to maybe make up for the lack of bowl practices. You know, not having bowl practices where you can get a bunch of practices there when you're getting ready for a bowl if you were to qualify for a bowl. So, you know, we decided to do this. So we, on Mondays, like you said, on after practice, we've run probably a total of 300 plays already this year. And it's not just dirty show, Audrey. It's we have guys in that scrimmage that are backup guys on Saturdays that play for us on Saturdays that are getting meaningful reps in that thing too. It's very competitive. The coaches compete. The guys have a lot of fun with it. We crank the music, and you can see guys getting better and better with it. So, you know, we think it's been very productive for us.
Bill, two-part question for you. Saturday night, did you watch Yale? Did you watch Harvard Brown, or did you watch Ohio State Wisconsin?
I flicked back and forth. I was at a Little League game that lasted 4 hours in Lewistown. I mean, it was unbelievable. And then I came home. I think LSU Georgia was on. That was a great football game. One of the better games I've seen. And then the Brown game was on at 7:30, and the Ohio State Wisconsin game was on at 8. And I flicked back and forth. Probably watched more of the Ohio State Wisconsin game.
Second.
My dad was at the Brown game, so he gave me the update.
Secondly, talk about the role your offense can play in keeping their offense off the scoreboard this week.
Yeah, no, I think it's important. You know, we have to see how the game's going. You know, they play a very up-tempo style of offensive football. So what do we have to do to make sure that that we're scoring? I don't think we can come out of this game with a bunch of field goals. You know, I think, you know, again, we've got to score points in this game, and but we also have to do it in mixing tempos. We can't go into this game thinking we're just going to go warp speed every drive like you know, like I was saying before. So I think we've got to get a feel for that during the game. You know, see how the game's going, where we're at in the game, where is the game at halftime. Second half, make our adjustments and make sure that we're doing it the right way to play a good team complementary football game.
Bill, not specific to the Indiana game, but